Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Sunday Sales Chat. And today I wanted to have a quick chat about the market, where we are today, where we've been in the last couple of years and where we could be going from here. Also wanted to talk about what I call the dark window. So anyone who's bought a block of land between middle of 2018 to middle of 2019 and what you should do about buying within that dark window. So first of all, I wanted to give a little bit of perspective. So we first launched the Upper Point Cook project back in October 2014. And from October 2014 to around about the end of 2017, start of 2018, we averaged roughly 30 to 40 sales per month during that entire period. Leads long-term average was running at about 60 new leads per month. And what we saw at the end of 2017 was leads peak. So our leads dropped off slightly. They went from about 60 a month down to about 40, 45 per month. So not a drastic drop off. But the thing that we did see that changed quite severely was conversion. So those leads converting to sale actually dropped off drastically. We went from 30 to 40 sales per month to roughly about 6 sales per month. So we averaged 6 sales per month for the 12 months between June 18 and June 2019. That's down from 30 to 40 sales a month. And then we did probably another 4 to 6 resales a month during that same period. So that was good during that period. But what we noticed was that the main two reasons why conversion slowed during that period was A, that prices had hit a point where they were no longer sustainable for our families to purchase a home and land package, and B, all the structural changes that were happening within the credit market. So the APRA changes had flowed through, and the Royal Commission of Banking had caused a lot of negative sentiment during that time. So that told buyers who were still keen to buy house and land during that time, because there was a huge, it was still good demand. There was still really good demand. The demand average had slowed. It had peaked at the end of 2017, but only dropped off slightly. But the conversion had fallen off quite significantly, and that told us that buyers thought that there would be a better time to buy around the corner. And since then, what we've discovered is that those buyers that did hold off were in fact correct. Because during the period of 2018 middle and 2019 middle, the average price of a block of land anywhere in the greenfield markets of Melbourne has decreased from 20,000 to 60,000, and it's come back towards fair value. And what we've seen since June 1st is an increase in sales volume and an increase in lead volume. Last month we had the highest number of monthly leads across all satellite projects that we've had since March 2017. So leads are back up and conversions are back up. We've gone from roughly 6 sales a month to 34 sales in the last 2 months. So that's a threefold increase. And during that same period of time, we've also done about 30 resales. We launched a new project in Wyndham Vale, so we've done 60 sales over 60 days. That's roughly a sale a month, a contract a month from the Upper Point Cook sales office. So what's changed? The federal election back in June and the loosening of the credit conditions has caused a significant uplift in demand. But not only that, buyers are now sensing that this could be the bottom. The bottom could now be set, and sales volumes have started to increase once again. Now, what happens if you bought a block of land? What do you do if you bought a block of land between the middle of 2018 and the middle of 2017? You have to ask yourself this question. Am I missing out on an equal or better opportunity by holding this block of land? Can I take a loss of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 on this block of land and make up that on another opportunity in this current market? If the answer to that question is yes, then give me a call and we'll talk about what it's going to take to get that block moved, so then you can move on and buy something of equal or better value and make up that loss with a profit with something new that you've purchased. The second option is you can hold through this period. So if you bought a block of land back in 2009, 2010, in that period, after that time, blocks dropped about 50 to 60,000. Now, if you held that block of land to now, you probably almost doubled the price that you paid for that block of land. Would you be disappointed the blocks went back 50,000 back in that time? No, you wouldn't, because you held through that period, and now subsequently the blocks have gone up in value. However, it's very hard to just hold a block of land that's costing you $1,600–1,700 a month. So if you are considering holding through this period, then my recommendation is to build a home on the block of land, make it an investment property if it wasn't already going to be one, rent it out, get a return on your money, and then sell into a better period later on down the track into the future. What am I doing? Well, just a couple of months ago, I've bought one more property in the west. I'm currently looking at another property in the southeast at the moment, and if I can find something else in the west at the moment, I'll also look to increase the portfolio by buying at the moment. I think there's 3 pillars that are going to underpin the Melbourne market for at least the next 10 years and beyond. Those pillars are employment. Melbourne and Sydney are definitely the places to be with employment. They're always going to create the most employment than any other state in this country. Demand, as I've touched on earlier, we've got a net migration number in this city that's quite great. These people are coming for the jobs that we're creating. And what happens when building approvals start to drop and that demand keeps going and sustains that level, you're going to start to see a supply shortage. And that leads me to the third point, the thing that I think that is going to underpin the Melbourne market, is there's still some supply bottlenecks. There's still some developer fees and charges and hold-ups in planning approvals, which are limiting the amount of stock that can come on the market at any one time. So when those building approvals drop, when that demand increases, and when, as I've said, sales have increased threefold since June, when all those things compound on one another, in a certain period of time, once we've cleared through the excess stock on the market, you're going to start to see a shortage of home options on the market. When that happens, you're probably going to see an uplift in pricing once again. Will it be as big as the uplift that we've seen over the last 3-4 years? Maybe not, but it's still going to be some sustained upward pressure on pricing. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that Sunday sales chat. As always, would love to get your thoughts, your opinions. Do you agree? Do you disagree with my thesis on the current market, where we're at and where we're going? And as always, I welcome the comments and the chat below. Thanks, guys.